This local sports report is brought to you by Peter Izio from Izio Financial Solutions, helping you ensure financial stability for your family or business. Call Peter today for expert advice from an experienced advisor. Call now to book an appointment at 519-576-5410.
He is a familiar face for Laurier football fans. He's a Yates Cup champion in 2017. He's the all-time sacks leader in school history. He had a wonderful career with the Golden Hawks, and now he is playing with the Edmonton football team in the CFL. Good to see you, Kwaku Boateng. It's been a couple of years, but we have you here today because we want to introduce your new program, which is doing great things for youth across the country. It's called Sacks for Racks. Can you introduce us to it and tell us a little bit about what it's all about?
Yeah. First off, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on the show. It's always a privilege to see you. We tie back to Waterloo, so there's always love there. Sacks for Racks is just a personal brand that I kind of fell upon during my my third season in the CFL, and I kind of started questioning, why don't we have sport like position specific camps, right? We have a lot of athletes that do a great job going out in the communities and providing camps for everyone, right, from wide receivers down to D-line. And I said, okay, well, we've come to a stage in football where pass rushers are the second highest paid players in football, outside being a quarterback, right? If the quarterback's the most important position on the football field, then the person that's attacking the quarterback, or the person that's responsible only for the quarterback, has shown to be the second highest paid. So I kind of took that and said, okay, let me just have an IG page and just throw sacks and techniques on it. And within a few months, that started ramping up. And within maybe, I think, 6 months, we hit 1,000 followers on there. So it showed that there's a need for that. There's people that are interested in it. So I took a step further last year's offseason. Unfortunately, it was also COVID in 2020. But I took an initiative where I said, okay, how can I take what I'm presenting these youth or these young adults on social media and put it out there, put it real, make it real. And I came up with camp, which is Camp Rush. So every year the goal is for me to run a camp in different cities throughout Canada to really just spark the interest of these young athletes and say, okay, there's room for you, especially in CFL as a pass rusher. I know in the past it's kind of GMs wouldn't look at Canadians as pass rushers, but I'm trying to trailblaze, I'm trying to change that. And by doing that, I also want to get back to community. So Sacks for Racks just really started just something for me to keep myself busy during the season, keep myself creative. And now it's gotten to a point where I'm actually more determined to run a camp each and every year. And the proceeds, like last year, went to the Edmonton Food Bank. But the ultimate goal is for the youth sports or the sack leader in collegiate football to decide where that $1,000 goes to, right?
Here's the thing. There's nobody better, or I saw nobody better in OUA football in your last couple of years than Kwaku Boateng getting to the quarterback. We're looking at some video right now of you playing with the Golden Hawks. And obviously you had an amazing career. And we'll talk about Michael Falls and we'll talk about Ron Van Moorkirk here in a minute, because I know that they were two pretty influential men that helped you reach the levels that you're at now, not only as a football player, but I think Laurier also teaches you that giving back component and that community component. It's a small, tight-knit community here, and obviously you were a part of that, and that's sort of something you've taken to Edmonton. Talk a little bit about the Edmonton camp that you held, the successes there, and what's your vision, Kwaku? You know, big picture for this thing.
Yeah, I think you brought a great point up. When I was at Laurier, that's one of the biggest things. Obviously, it was about doing well on the field and doing well off the field, but it was also helping people around us. Like there'd be times where I'd head out with Coach Folds, and we'd go read to local elementary schools, or we'll go to anti-bullying programs, just to show our face, just to show that this is bigger than, you know what I mean, this is bigger than just us.
Yeah.
But going back to the camp that I ran last year, it was a great success. And I think mainly because COVID forced me to limit the amount of athletes I could have in the indoor facility with me. Right. And I think that garnered a different type of environment. I was able to minimize that per session to 14 athletes per session. And I think that changed the whole game, because it allowed me to really connect with these athletes and break down all these techniques that would usually take me a bit longer in a bigger group. And it was more efficient. And I think that the kids took a lot from it. And I was able to break it down from junior to senior. And I think the seniors especially took a lot out of it because a lot of them lost a year going into getting recruiting, getting an opportunity to really play university or that next level type of football. So they just wanted a way just to express themselves, go out there and fine tune their skills. So Edmonton was a great success, and I'm grateful that I was able to run it despite COVID. And I'm excited to run another one in Kitchener-Waterloo.
That was where I was going next, Kwaku. You have plans to run a similar camp, for junior and senior, 14 players per session. You want those ambitious kids that have visions of going to the next level, and obviously learning from, one of the best football players that Laurier's ever had is a real benefit to them. Tell us a little bit about the details of the Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge camp that you're planning on having, and what parents and players can expect if they're hearing about this for the first time.
Yeah, so what I'm so excited about the Kitchener-Waterloo camp is that that's where I went to university, right? So I know a lot of people there, and I know a lot of athletes reached out to me to come out and just show their face and give the athletes their 2 cents and whatnot. So obviously being in Edmonton is great because I play football out here, but going back to where it kind of all started and where you really got an opportunity to learn more about the game, it just feels different. And with that being said, there's gonna be pop-up bags, there's gonna be a lot more equipment, just because I'm familiar with people around there, so I can borrow equipment and all that stuff. So I think this camp is gonna be better than the one in Edmonton. And that's saying a lot because I got a lot of stellar reviews at the one in Edmonton. But I think what makes the one in Kitchener, what's gonna make that one so much better is I'm gonna have more players, I'm gonna have more resources, and ultimately I'm gonna have another year on my belt to really show these kids, okay, this is how you pass rush. We're gonna have it all recorded. It's gonna be fun, and it's all gonna be digitalized, so you can share it with friends and whatnot. So I think it's gonna be hype. I think it's gonna be really exciting.
One other thing I want to touch on before we get back to reminiscing, because why wouldn't we reminisce? Well, we have the opportunity here. Let's talk about the community initiative as well. Last year, as part of the camp that you ran in Edmonton, there was $1,000 donation to the Edmonton Food Bank. And I know that you want to also be involved with charitable organizations here in Waterloo region. Why is that side of it important to you?
I think it really stems across how I was raised personally. I didn't come from the most well-off family, so there were times where when I was really young, where we did lean on the food bank. So, and it goes back to in football, we like to say, at least my group of friends, we like to say we want to eat like dogs and whatnot. So I think it kind of meshes well with when I eat, you eat, we all eat. And that's kind of where the concept of donating to a local food bank came in. And I think I took it a step further where Sacks for Racks stands for, obviously getting sacks, which is football, and racks. I got a lot of people ask me, what are racks? And racks are just slang for denominations of $1,000, right? So I just said, okay, well, how can I make this into reality, right? Obviously I can help kids learn how to get sacks, but how can I get this part into the brand and giving to the community? That's how I was able to do that. So last year I gave a rack or $1,000 to Edmonton's Food Bank. But the ultimate goal, the ultimate vision is really for me not to decide where it goes, right? The ultimate vision is for me to create this nice recycling circle of some sort where it goes back to youth sports athletes. So in theory, let's say if Alfred Green, who plays for WLU University right now, he led youth sports in sacks, which is the countrywide football league. If he led the league in sacks, I'd give him the opportunity to choose where he wants to deposit that $1,000 check. So it could be Ajax because that's where he's from, right? And that way, it just opens up the brand even more, and more importantly, it gets more people into it. It's more inclusive, and that's ultimately the goal, is for me to be able to provide inclusive events that everyone could share and everyone could enjoy the benefits from it.
Well, and really spread it across the province. Right, whether you're talking about the GTA, whether you're talking about Ajax, whether you're talking about Waterloo, football's important in Ontario,
exactly,
as you well know. Okay, give me a couple of quick responses. I'm just going to say a couple of names.
Okay.
Michael Falls.
Ambitious, super ambitious.
Ron Van Morker.
Almost like a father.
The defensive line family you had at Laurier.
Oh, that's a good one. Union.
Nice. Nathan Mesher.
Accurate.
You're not going to talk about the 2017 field goal?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Fair enough.
I was on field goal protection, and I wasn't even worried. I was like, he's gonna, no pressure, Nathan. Like, he's gonna get it in. Nope, not at all. Not at all.
All money Mesher.
All money, exactly.
Best memories of Laurier or what? And I know you've got 1,000 of them. You could probably go on for 15 minutes if you had to.
Yeah.
What do you think about when you think about being a Golden Hawk for the years that you were?
Man, I would say my first year going, I think we went 1-7.
Yeah.
And obviously in football, the goal is to win, right? But we never felt like losers that season. I know it sounds cliche or whatever, but we never felt like losers. Like, every game we were in it, or at least we tried to. Even if I recall properly, my first year, 2013, we played Western, and we were supposed to get blown out. We eventually lost the game, obviously, but we were competitive the first half, if I remember correctly, the first quarter, first half. And it just showed me that, okay, like, you have to be patient in life. You have to. And you're not going to get everything you want right away. You got to work towards it. And that's why I said Coach Foles is so ambitious, because we would practice, even though we didn't make playoffs that year, we would practice every day until the Yates Cup or until the Bandy, I can't remember. But we practice as if we're going there, right? So I think that built up to the point where we got into 2017, where we won the Yates Cup.
How did it propel you, Kwaku? You're a guy, you come from the GTA, you go to Laurier, your first season, you're 1-7, good learning, valuable lessons. And I know there was moral victories, and I know there was positive experiences. And now you're in the CFL, playing in Edmonton, giving back to not only the Edmonton community, but the Kitchener-Waterloo community here. I have nothing but mad respect for you, from where you came from and where you are now, and where Sacks for Racks could potentially go to. How did Laurier just propel you the way that it has?
I think it comes down to this. I grew up in a tight-knit family, and when I went to Laurier, one of the reasons why I went to Laurier was actually Coach Luciani. Rest in peace to him. Big family man, and big fan of Laurier football, or Laurier in general. And Laurier, when you step on the football field, or even when you step on campus, it's this tight-knit community. So it's all about working together and making great things happen. So my time at Laurier, that's all that was being reinstilled in me, was family, working hard, and sacrifice. And when I went from being ranked 2 in the country to being drafted 41st, that's a huge blow. But I've been in a position where I had to take losses. I've been in a position where I had to make sacrifices. I've been in a position where things didn't go my way. So going through that, especially my first year at Laurier, has taught me that losing is nothing. You only lose when you quit, right? And now I'm here in a position where I think the last report came out, I'm the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, the highest paid Canadian, and that's all from the mindset that was put in my mind from 2013. Was, even if you lose, you never quit. You just keep working until you can win again. And I think that's what my first year at Laurier, it's helped me become the man I am today.
Great answer, man. Honestly, lots of insightful things there. And for young football players, you look at Sacks for Racks. Sure, there's the technical aspects on the field, the pass rush fundamentals that you're going to get from Kwaku's camp, but there's also important talks like that. And I hear it from, different Laurier grads. Chris Aki comes to mind right away, Ronnie Pepper, another guy who's done some great community stuff. Another person I want to touch on quickly here, Kwaku, is Peter Izio from Izio Financial Solutions, who is one of your major sponsors of your Sacks for Racks program. I know he's been another influential figure, not only at Laurier, but that continues right now. What kind of difference has Peter made in your life?
Peter's huge, man. And the funny thing about Peter is that he's a great dude. He's an individual that's going to be there to support you, the football team, and the individuals within it. A lot of times you're just an athlete, right? To say it bluntly, sometimes you're just an athlete. But when you meet individuals and people that want to help you beyond just football, on and off the football, it's huge. And I think Laurier has a lot of great alumni and sponsors who believe in that same mentality, where these guys on the field, they're not just athletes. They're human beings, they're academics, they have other things outside of football. And Peter, he's no different. And he's giving me great opportunities. I personally consider him as a mentor of mine. We're both in the financial. He's obviously in the financial world, but that's where I want to be. I went to school for accounting and finance, right? So when I look at him, I'm actually looking up to him because he's built up his own empire in the Kitchener-Waterloo area, and more importantly, he's given back so much, right? Not just to me, but to the community. And every time I talk to him, I learn something brand new. And my dad always said, you want to be around people that teach you something new every day. And if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to leave the room. Whenever I'm near Peter, I know I'm definitely not the smartest person in the room. So I'm blessed to even have him around and someone that I can call as a mentor. So Peter's huge to not just me, but I think to all the young athletes at Laurier. He's a great mentor to definitely message or reach out to, because he'll definitely be there for you.
And I'll tell you, he's got nothing but respect for you. And, you've kind of followed in his footsteps with these community initiatives that you're doing now. Last question for you. We don't talk about COVID-19 on 519 because, I don't know, there's enough COVID-19 content out there for everybody. Let's talk, though, about your experience in the CFL the last couple of years in Edmonton. How has that community embraced you, and what's it like, going from Laurier to Edmonton and just that transition? It appears from the outside looking in, and I know we haven't talked in a little while, it's been amazing for you.
Yeah. Well, the tough thing is that when I first got drafted out there, and it's a well-known story, I was like, man, I want to be back home. I want to be in the GTA. I've never been out west. Right, I've never been out that far away from home, and it was a blessing in disguise. Because as soon as I landed, it was love from the jump. Being a Canadian athlete, working my tail off during camp to make sure I stayed. And once I made the opening roster, once I made the roster period, the fan support was crazy. I think once I got my first sack, there's a huge podcast called the Empire Podcast, if I'm not mistaken. Great people that run that podcast, and they developed shirts for me, Kwaku. And that was actually from and the announcer at Laurier. He's actually the one that coined it, so he actually has copyright.
Mr. Povey, getting a shout out.
Chris got to get some royalties, but yeah, they produced these shirts. Kwaku, great design, and they were like, "Do you want $1?" I'm like, "I don't want $1.
Right.
This is love. You know what I mean? This is so much appreciation. This is my first year. I'm thinking to myself, I'm nobody, right? And you guys are showing me this much. I don't want $1. You guys take that, and they do great things in the community. Take that, share the wealth. Like, do whatever you want to do." And ever since that day, I was like, "This is a blessing. It's a blessing for sure." And I think the organization saw how hard I've been working my first year. And then they gave me an opportunity to start my second year. And then, the rest of the story is what it is. But Edmonton within itself has been home. It felt like home. They've been able to embrace me, but more importantly, support me.
I know you're in the 780 right now, but I promise you, the Laurier fans and the Laurier players that will see this are absolutely 519 proud of you. Great job, honestly, with everything you've done. If you'd like to find out more about Sacks for Racks, when it's going to be in the Waterloo region this summer, you can check out their website, sacksforracks.com, as well. Check them out on social media, on Instagram, as well as Facebook and Twitter. Again, awesome job, Kwaku. Great chatting with you. It's been a while, and I look forward to seeing you this summer here back in the Waterloo region.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be able to run this camp, and thanks so much for your time. It's always great. It was always a pleasure to talk to you and just reminisce.
For more highlights, visit our website, 519sportsonline.ca. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.